Hello and welcome to the Musical Instrument Investigator. Today on the website of Adam Partridge Auctions based in the UK, we're going to have a look at their latest auction, which is a combination of art, books and musical instruments. But of course we just want to have a look at the musical instrument part, and that is in the lot 1000 plus category. So we're looking at the 25th of May for this auction. It is the 22nd today, so there are a few more days left. So what we'll do is we'll just search lots and we'll move to the musical instrument section, musical instruments and mechanical music, and we will see that we have about 102 lots there, so it's not too crazy. Adam Partridge usually historically has a few interesting things here. Sometimes the attribution is a little bit odd, but I am not an expert either, so you'll be curious to see what they have. So it looks like the buyer's premium is 24% for this auction, so that's what you pay on top of the final hammer price, which is fairly standard. Just to say once again that this is a UK based auction, so if you're looking to buy outside of the UK, if you're in say mainland Europe or somewhere else in the world, then import export fees probably apply, and shipping fees, and maybe CITES restrictions as well. So yeah, without further ado, I think let's just kind of go through everything in this auction. Just to say also, if you enjoy these auctions or these videos going through the auctions, please do consider subscribing or like or comment, because it really does help. Even a like or a comment is actually really helpful, so it'd be much appreciated. So anyway, I've talked enough rubbish for a while. Let's see. Okay, so a good small full-size Italian violin, Gaspar Bouchard, signed with initials and dated 2010, 5 to 6000. Okay, 34.3, so that is pretty small. I mean, it's an interesting violin, I guess, but I'm not sure exactly how they get the attribution on that one. Not a maker I have heard of. I'm fairly skeptical about that. Label looks a little bit dodgy, but there we go, it could be completely correct. It's just not a maker I have heard of at all, but it looks like a nice enough violin. If anyone knows this maker, please do let me know. I'm always happy to kind of educate myself a bit better. But anyway, quite a few pictures there. Estimate 5 to 6000 there, like pretty small size really. So yeah, odd estimate in my opinion, but anyway, that's for me to deal with. A good full-size English violin by George Hudson, Skegness there, 35.2, that's a bit more normal, 2 to 3000. Let's see, some interesting pictures on this website so far. Interesting looking violin, kind of Guarneri-esque F-holes there. So yeah, that's fairly interesting. 2 to 3, maybe that will go, hard to say. So it's an interesting one. Full-size German violin, Johann Christian Ficker. It's got branded internally, which I think is kind of normal for these instruments, 1 to 1.5. It's a fairly interesting looking instrument. There's some fairly good quality pictures actually in Adam Partridge, I have to say. It's got a Withers bridge on it, or something stamped Withers anyway, and a Withers case. Yeah, I mean, that looks about kind of right. I think that stamp, so I'm inclined to think that that is probably correct there. Full-size violin, probably French, with one piece back, 35.5, unlabelled, 800 to 1200. Now this is the kind of violin that will probably get people quite excited, I think. Neck graft there. Looks like a fairly nice instrument. It's a nice looking back there. some nice corners. I think this is the kind of instrument that will go way beyond that estimate in reality. I'll be speculative people on that one. Doesn't look in terrible kind of condition for its age there. Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of thing that I think will jump to near £5,000, I would think. Not sure about the attribution on that, but I think it will be popular. Full-size French violin with interior label Paul Bailey, 35.8 with a bow. Let's have a quick look at this. I think there's some interesting stuff in this auction, so we're going to give it a bit more time than we would normally. Some of the recent ones I've just really blitzed through it, but I'd like to give a bit more time. Not sure that on the label on that, but yeah, probably is a kind of French violin of some kind. Full-size violin, probably French, with a Carlo Storioni label there. I think there was a few of these. French did like to put these Storioni labels in a few violins. I've seen a kind of few of these late 19th century ones. Quite a nice scroll there. It looks like a nice enough instrument there. No complaints. 3 to 500. That's a fair estimate. Right, full size violin for restoration, probably French. 3 to 500. One bid on that already. So another one of these violins, which I think will get people excited. Looks fairly nice. That's quite a nice back actually, isn't it? Let's see if we can zoom in. Yeah, quite a nice looking instrument there. Once again, I think this is another one that will be probably quite popular with the bidders. Nice back on that. So yeah, I think another popular violin, quite nice red varnish there. So I expect that to probably go into the thousands as well in reality. Wolf Brothers full-size violin, so German violin I think there. A couple of bows. Pictures are a little bit slow to render. Looks like a better quality German trade violin, probably fairly decent instrument. 100 to 150, that's actually pretty low, I would say, on the estimate. Unnamed full-size German violin, 36 is the size, with a couple of bows. Let's see. Yep, it looks like a fairly kind of standard trade violin. 80 to 120 I think is probably reasonable. Full-size German violin with two-piece back with a bow. So far I'm not seeing anything particularly interesting in any of the bows. Some of these pictures are not too bad, slightly weird angles, but the quality is quite good. The interesting back there. Looks like a better quality trade violin. 80 to 120, that's not too bad. Full-size German violin, Stradivarius copy. Let's see. Looks like another standard trade violin, 80 to 120, that's good. Full-size German violin with an interior label, Antonius Pagani, 1721. Case with a nickel-mounted bow. On the face of it, this looks like a fairly kind of standard trade violin, I think. Yeah, pretty standard and nothing too crazy there. I think it's like a late 19th century type thing. So 80 to 120. That's, once again, it's reasonable. I can't really argue with that. I think that's a fair estimate. Full-size violin, probably French. Interior label, Copie de Gaspar de Salo Brescia. Okay, 60 to 100 on this one. This one looks straight away fairly tradey. Okay, yeah, pretty standard trade violin. I mean, a lot of these violins completely respectable estimate. Some of the early things I think were a little bit high. 3/4 size German conservatory violin. I think this will have on the back of the scroll, yeah, conservatory, so definite trade violin there. We don't need to look in that too much, but 50 to 80. Full size English violin with interior label J.W. Borland, Sutton, 1933, with a bow. Let's have a look at that. Looks like fairly amateur work, quite big plate thicknesses here, you can see at the side. The general outline looks a little bit clunky. So the varnish as well, corner works, purfling, all a little bit unrefined. Estimate 50 to 80, yeah, it's fair, even a little low to be honest. Full size German violin, 35.7 with 4 assorted nickel mounted bows. Let's have a look at this. So I think that actually might be a silver mounted bow potentially, so you might see the bidding going up somewhat if there's a better picture of that bow. It's kind of interesting. See what's going on here with the violin. Yeah, this I think is potentially a silver. This is a silver mounted bow. I think it's got a collar though, so it's had a repair. But you might see some bids on this one. We'll have to see. Quarter size violin, German, 50 to 80. Let's have a quick look at that. It's been through the wars a little bit with the cheek patches there at the side. I've got a Carlo Testore label. Kind of interesting back on that, and the flat back of the headstock. Interesting looking instrument there. Slightly curious, that one. As a quarter size violin. This instrument was allegedly once smashed in anger by Mantovani, and a note detailing the provenance accompanies this lot. Okay, that's pretty bizarre. Let's see if we can see this a bit bigger. It's really difficult. Kind of looks like it's inked on. A strange lot there for sure. Let's see if we can exit out of these photos. Always good to look at this stuff in more detail. Okay, some random bits here. German violin zither, kind of trade violin, and a normal zither there. And it's like a metronome as well. 40 to 16 seems fair. Full size German violin, inlaid one there. Nothing too super there. A couple of German violins, I think. Pretty standard. Or a couple of other violins, I think nothing crazy here. We just skip by anything that's not super interesting. Our 3/4 Maidstone, you don't really need to look at that one. 3/4 size Medifino, so French trade, and a banjo mandolin there. Full size English modern violin by Gerald Littlewood. Okay. And an unusually shaped violin for restoration. Yeah, it looks like a kind of amateur violin there. 30 to 50, it's a fair lot, and you can't really complain about that too much. Maidstone, another 3/4 violin there, we can go past that. A full-size English 2-piece back violin with another violin. Okay, let's have a look. Nothing super exciting, but 30 to 50, it's fair. Small full-size violin with restorations, probably German. Let's see what's going on there. Difficult to say. Quite nice pegs. 20 to 40. Definitely needs some work. Full-size English violin made by W.E. Maunder, Manchester. 1928. Full-size French viola there, 40.5, 3 to 500. Full-size English viola by J.D. Nicholson, Bebington. We see these every now and then. That's a very orange varnish there. Indeed, we do see these ones. 3 to 500, I think that's kind of reasonable. Roderick Paysold viola there, 100 to 150. Full-size cello, probably German, with two-piece back. Okay, let's see if we can have a bit more of a look at the scroll. Let's see if we can see any more information here. 300 to 500, I'm sure that'll sell pretty well. Roderick Paysold cello there, 4 to 600, maybe. Another German cello for restoration with a Galliano label in an ebonized hill case. See if we can have a look at that back there. It's a fairly interesting cello. Let's have a look at the back of the scroll. It's quite nicely carved there. 3 to 500. I think that may well sell pretty well. Let's see if there's a side view of the scroll. Looks like we have to go to one of these ones. I think that's fairly interesting looking cello, that, to be honest. 3 to 500, so I think that'll do pretty well. Luthier Rosenthal gold mounted violin bow stamped in mahogany bow case. Let's have a look. That's quite a fancy looking bow there. Looks like possibly tortoise shell. So, do they mention anything there? They don't seem to, maybe not. 4 to 600. Whole load of bows. Maybe some good ones in there. 2 to 300. Fender electric mandolin there. 150 to 250. Oh, something's withdrawn, so we won't be looking at that. Oh, another one withdrawn, okay. Wow, okay, there's quite a few withdrawn here. It's interesting. Stridente mandolin, Boozy and Hawkes Bakelite clarinet. Nothing really much to see there. Windsor 5-string banjo. It's fairly nice banjo, 100 to 150. Slingerland 4-string banjo there. Countryman 5-string banjo, 80 to 120. Always a good banjo showing. Windsor Whirly, 80 to 120. Joach Tioch Laut, just a dodgy trade lute guitar, 40 to 60. It's probably pretty fair. Reynolds Zither harp, interesting, 20 to 40. Tanglewood semi-hollow body electric guitar, 200 to 250. A group of 3 electric guitars. So it's Encore, Behringer, and a other funny thing. None of which I think are particularly great. Yamaha classical guitar there, pretty standard student one there. I don't think it's anything particularly interesting. Acoustic 6-string guitar labelled K450, not very nice. Fender Stevie Ray Vaughan signature Strat, 1500 to 2000 on that one. Not particularly knowledgeable about these things. Hohner Model SE 400 there. Polytone amplifier. Fender Roland Blues Cube. I was distracted by the Tolex there. Roland Cube Street one. Vox AC30 SI 60 to 80. 3 amps there. Interesting Vox DA5 Fender LSE Black Prince. Interesting, I've not actually seen one of those before, so that's kind of interesting. If anyone knows anything more about those LSE amps, it'd be interesting to know. It's kind of interesting looking. Assortment of various bits and bobs. More bits and bobs. Looks like a tape echo there. Some other line 6 bits and bobs. Oh, we've got to have a concertina, don't we? Probably by Lacanal. These always sell well. Can't have an auction without at least one concertina, at least an English auction anyway. Victoria painted metal action accordion, cased 30 to 50. A Frontellini piano accordion, another piano accordion, and a guitar and an auto harp. Interesting lot, 40 to 60. Castagnari, a Geordie melodeon with soft case. Looks in quite nice condition there, 3 to 500. Not my avenue there. Hohner soloist piano accordion. The Muramatsu flute there, 2.2 to 2.5. Don't know the model types, but do know that these Muramatsu flutes are pretty highly regarded, at least some of them are. So if there's a flautist out there, let me know if that's a decent flute. Ewan McDougall silver flute there, on 1500 to 2000. Once again, not my avenue. Ruddle Cart, early 20th century flute with Bakelite body, 100 to 115. It's already a £75 bid on that one. Ewan McDougall, it's a flute, the head joint there, 100 to 200. Another one here. Oh, and another one. We're getting a real collection there. Oh, and another. Okay, interesting. Ruddle Cart, silver plated flute there. Another head joint. Buffet silver plated flute. Group of 8 unused still sealed flute cases. So it's a real flute collection there. Ewan McDougall piccolo head joint. Lyre encased bass recorder. Okay. Interesting lot there. Selma soprano saxophone there, 2.5 to 2.8. They're always popular. Another Selma soprano saxophone, 5 to 7. Provenance, a great opportunity to own one of the most renowned and prestigious saxophones of all time, regarded as one of the top professional models of saxophone. The Selma Mark VI remains a highly desirable instrument, and this particular example is no exception, 5 to 7. Interesting. CG Con, alto saxophone there. Berkeley soprano saxophone. Boozy and Hawkes 77 clarinet with a case. Corton a cased trumpet. Olds a cased brass trumpet. That's at least a bid on that one. Nevada vintage brass trumpet. Butler, London and Dublin, silver plated cornet, Merck recorder and a Dolmetsch recorder there. Interesting. Boozy & Co. Sol bronze silver plated tuba. Yours for 40 to 60 potentially. Roddy, a handmade bowron there. Rouge, a modern simulated inlaid walnut music box, 40 to 60. I sense we're getting towards the end of musical instruments here. 19th century Swiss inlaid rosewood case musical box. Another Swiss musical box there. Music cylinder, that's a pretty big one, as they say. Some random bits of records. I don't think we've got many lots left. Some more records. This is out of our interest. Record player. Goodman speakers, they're quite nice. Celestian Disson 25 speakers. Oh, we've got a big piano. Steinberg, an early 20th century walnut cased 5-foot baby grand, 4 to 600. think it's still pretty crazy that you can buy like a grand piano for almost nothing. Well, to be honest, you can probably get them for free sometimes off like Gumtree and things like that. The cost is getting them tuned and moving them around. Early 20th century Bechstein, 800 to 1200, circa 1908. So, a Argors and Kalman, a walnut case boudoir grand piano there, 300 to 500 on that one. Kawai, upright piano there. Quite a lot of pianos for Adam Partridge. It's like fairly unusual. I think that's it then. That looks like that's the end of the list of the stuff in the musical instruments part of the section. So yeah, there you go. Kind of interesting auction. A few interesting violins that I think will kind of go pretty crazy up in value. A couple of interesting high-end flutes, a few other bits and bobs here and there. Definitely worth having a look at yourself. Take your time and kind of figure out what's going on. Pictures are actually fairly decent. Yeah, there's at least one interesting looking cello, a few bits, so not a bad auction all in all. Yeah, thanks a lot for watching, appreciate it, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.